Hello and welcome to the Duel Commander YouTube channel. There it is, folks. The new Ikoria set has been revealed, and in this video, we will take a look at the new cards from this set that could make waves in Duel Commander. Either because they can fit perfectly in a current archetype, or maybe because they have a potential to create a new one. Also, as Commander players, we will take a special look at the new generals of this set and try to evaluate their own potential in Duel Commander. So let's begin our review. First creature that pops up to me as a great addition to your Duel Commander deck is Luminous Broodmoth. 2 generic and 2 white for a 3/4 insect creature that reads Flying, and whenever a creature you control with its flying dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. I think every type of winning white decks want to run a copy of this great creature, even though it has a pretty high mana cost, because being able to recover from a Wrath effect is very good in this type of decks. And, on top of it all, your entire board comes back better than it was before, because now everything flies. The next card that might find a room in some Duel Commander decks is Call of the Death Dweller. 2 generic and a black for a sorcery that reads Return up to 2 creature cards with total converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a Death Touch counter on either of them, then put a Menace counter on either of them. So, in Duel Commander, most of the creatures we play are 3 CMC or less. So at the very least, this spell allows you to reanimate 1 creature for sure. But in some cases, you will be able to reanimate 2 of them, and they come back with more abilities than before. So all in all, a great way to recover from a board wipe. I can see this card finding a spot in creature-based decks that plays black, like Saskia, Judith, Yawgmoth, or even Anafenza maybe. Only the future can tell. Next card is Dranis Magistrate, 1 generic and 1 white mana for a 1/3 human wizard that says your opponents can cast spells from anywhere other than their hand, which simply prevent your opponent to play his general. So this seems good enough to be potentially banned in Commander, but if it's not, most of the white decks will want to run this creature. Speaking of white, Flawless Maneuver, an instant for 2 generic and a white that says if you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Seems like an auto-include in any winny white decks that goes wide with lots of creatures early in the game and are particularly vulnerable to Wrath effect. In the same cycle, the black spell is also worth mentioning, since it will probably come up in a lot of lists of Duel Commander with black. It's Deadly Trick, an instant for 2 generic and a black that says if you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. Exile target creature. Again, seems like an auto-include in most black decks. The blue card of this great cycle is also in a good position to become a Duel Commander staple. It's Fierce Guardianship, an instant for 2 generic and a blue that says if you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. Again, a card that can be pretty easily played in Duel Commander. And last but definitely not least of this cycle is the red version, Deflecting Swat, that allows you to redirect a spell or an ability to a new target. A great card with a lot of versatility and a great potential to become a Duel Commander staple. A quick mention of Skull Prophet, 1 black and 1 green mana for a 3/1 human druid that can either add a green or a black mana to your mana pool, or mill you for 2. You may find a room in Ogak's deck. Speaking of Ogak, Fiend Artisan seems like a good addition as well. Also worth mentioning, Lurus of the Dream Den, a 3/2 legendary cat nightmare for 1 generic and 2 other hybrid mana, with the companion ability that reads each permanent card in your starting deck has converted mana cost 2 or less, lifelink, and during each of your turns, you may cast 1 permanent spell with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard. This creature seems like a great addition in Karlov of the Ghost Council's deck that can take advantage both of its abilities, companion, and the graveyard recursion.
Don't forget Highly Eternal Pilgrim, who is a bit less famous than Karlov but has already performed in top 8.
Another good card for Karlov's deck is the Ozolith, an artifact that costs only 1 mana and can sort of bank Karlov's counter when it dies to put it back on later in the game. So a great ability for decks relying on +1/+1 counters. A great new removal in black can also make some waves in Duel Commander. It's Heartless Act, 1 and a black for an instant that says choose one, destroy target creature with no counters on it, or remove up to 3 counters from target creature. That's pretty much it, in my opinion, for the top cards of Ikoria for Duel Commander. And now, let's take a look at the new generals this set provides us. But since this channel is devoted to Duel Commander, I will only mention the ones that I think can perform well in this particular format. The first one I want to talk about is Lirina Kudrow. 1 generic, 1 red, 1 white and 1 black mana for a 3/3 legendary creature human soldier that has, when it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 human soldier creature token for each time you've cast a commander from the command zone this game. And other humans get +2/+0. Its first ability is kind of a reminiscence of Prosh, but less powerful of course. And I don't think she quite matches the power level of Marchesa, but my guess is that it could find a room in a Mardy sort of go-wide strategy, with a lot of cheap early humans so that when you cast your commander on turn 4, your opponent has to deal with a pretty big attack phase, kind of what Nagila's deck used to do. But this strategy remains very vulnerable to board wipes, and I don't think it's competitive enough to be top tier. The next one I want to mention is Gavi, Nest Warden. 2 generic, 1 blue, 1 red and 1 white mana for a legendary human shaman that reads: you may pay 0 rather than pay the cycling cost of the first card you cycle each turn, and whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 red and white dinosaur cat creature token. So this creature has a pretty decent body, and although its CMC is pretty high for Duel Commander, I think it still has the potential to make some waves in this format. There are plenty of good cycling cards already existing, and making the first one of them free each of your turns seems like a really strong and abusable ability. Plus, since you will most likely be able to draw at least 2 cards on each of your turn with this general, it synergizes very well with all the cards from Eldraine that rewards you for drawing your second cards. I also think Godzilla, King of the Monsters, is a viable general for Duel Commander. It costs 3 generic, 1 red and 1 green mana, and is a 7/3 legendary dinosaur that has trample and lethal damage dealt to creatures you control is determined by their power rather than their toughness. All of a sudden, all the big creatures with only 1 toughness aren't so weak with this general, and I'm very curious and excited to see what the best brewers can come up with this deck. But I'm pretty sure this has the potential for a good Gruul aggro creature based deck. The Sultai Commander from the 2020 precons also caught my attention for its Duel Commander potential. It is Hot Remy, the Ever Playful. It costs 3 generic, 1 black, 1 green and 1 blue mana for a 6/6 legendary Nightmare Beast that has Trample and Mutate, which is the new mechanic from this set. So here is how it reads. Mutate, 1 generic, 1 black, 1 green and 1 blue. If you cast this spell for its Mutate cost, put it over or under target non-human creature you own. They mutate into the creature on top, plus all abilities from under it. And it also has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, return target creature with Mutate from your graveyard to your hand. I will link in the description of this video the Mutate tutorial WotC has made, but to make things simple, let's say that it's kind of like Auras, but better. So, the way I see this being good in Duel Commander is if you build it as your general with a bunch of small X-proof creatures and play it like a pseudo Aura X-proof archetype. Mutating a Slippery Bogle into a 6/6 X-proof Trampler on turn 3 or 4 seems like a pretty decent move. My buddy here at the Duel Commander channel has also spotted a few new generals that might be Duel Commander worthy. I believe his first pick is Riel the Worst.
Riel the Worst is an EZ 3 mana 0/3 wizard human who gets +1/+0 for each instant and sorcery in your graveyard, plus whenever you discard 1 or more cards for the first time in a turn you draw that many cards. Because Riel is a wizard, she could be a pretty strong slot in an Adeliz the Cinder Wind deck, and we already saw some Adeliz decks on top 8, but she could also be a pretty strong commander on its own. Indeed, Ryel is kind of an Ikoria line slinger with some downsides, no vigilance, no first strike, no partner, but quite some upsides too. A massive value engine on a stick, the ability to pump attack at instant speed due to instant spells, and the blue color, which is always strong in this format. I could easily imagine a deck revolving around loot effects for massive value thanks to Ryel and several spells that have an impact in the graveyards. A huge consistency and heavy pump. With the right list, wheel effects can generate massive value. Use counter spells or burn spells to control the board or burn the opponent. Use bump spells to out-tempo the opponent or remove unburnable targets. Use cantrips to fill the graveyard. And once Ryel is at 10-3, just use combat tricks or evasive spells to one-shot the opponent.
And don't forget that you can use all your loot effects to discard creatures like Wonder and Anger that reward you for being in the graveyard, giving Ryel a better chance to knock down the opponent in one shot.
As a Simic Sultai player in Duel Commander, another creature caught my attention. Zakshara the Exemplary is a 4-mana Sultai 2/3 Nightmare Hydra with Dead Touch that can be tapped for 2 mana of any one color. In addition of being an heavy mana dork, Zakshara will create a 0/0 Hydra tokens with X+1/+1 counters on it. Whenever you cast and spell with X in its mana cost, which is insane value and pressure on the board, but for this you need to get your boltable 4-mana commander out and untap with him. At first glance it doesn't seem outrageously good because it's fragile, but whenever a commander opens Sultai color, it's always interesting to think about it another time. Indeed, Sultai offers a lot of strong tools in this format, and because Zakshara produces infinite mana with Freed from the Real or P means Aura, we got quite a strong win condition on the commander. With infinite mana, you can instant meal or kill the opponent, or use Lab Maniac or J self meal, or just play your whole deck in one turn. Furthermore, those win conditions works with cards that become good on their own because they are expelled, so they will create tokens. We can fairly imagine a massive package of ramp, something like more than 20 cards to be explosive enough to cast big X spells and produce huge Hydra's tokens, tutors to find combo PCs or value engine, and because Hydra Tribe has quite some good X spells, some Hydra tribal tools could be interesting too. You know I love tribal decks, and this commander set give me plenty of satisfaction. We already talked about human tribal, you have bird tribal in the Jeskai box, and here I want to talk about a new extremely fun and powerful Timur creature coming to replace my old Simic Cassetto tribal snake. Chiri's the Writhing Storm, I don't know if I spell it right. He's a 5-mana Timur 3/5 flying snake that say that whenever an opponent draws a card except their natural draw on the draw step, you create a 1/1 green snake token. Furthermore, whenever Jiris deals combat damage to a player, you both draw that many cards. This commander is just strange. How do you abuse a commander that gives value to the opponent? That's a challenge I like to brew. As the name of Juris say, it's Storm, a Storm technique. First of all, we need to ramp into the commander, and we can use the classical package of ramp. But because the commander creates snake tokens, we will try to abuse tribal spells, thus we can unphase the ramp package with some good ramp snakes. And because the commander allows massive draws, we'll like to play additional lands to abuse the effects. Another way to abuse the draw effects of Churis is to play free spells, because most of them require you exile cards from your hand to add value to the opponent. You will both draw five cards or more per turn, but you'll be the only one that have enough mana or a curve designed for this. Which is fun with free spells is that some of them require to bounce lands and you will have the tools to replay them fast. Blazing Shoal, Bounty of the Hunt, Invigorate are especially good because they will allow you to draw massive amounts of cards, and with cantrips, cheap spells, or cards like Earthcraft and your snake tokens, you'll be able to start a storm. To finish with, as I said previously, we can imagine using some of the good snakes of the format and having some tribal spells to help you storm or create massive and solid boards. Another commander I want to talk about will remind nightmares for some of the old players of Duel Commander, and you'll see why. Iluna, Apex of Wishes, is a 5-mana Temur 6/6 beast elemental dinosaur with a cat face, just saying, with flying, trample, and a mutate ability saying that whenever this creature mutates, you exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land permanent card and you put it onto the battlefield. We got here a worthy successor for the already banned card Polymorph. Indeed, the aim of this commander will be to play only Temur good staff control non-permanent spells with eventually a non-permanent RAM package, and of course some non-permanent spells that create non-human creatures in order to allow the mutate ability of Iluna or Chamblock. Once you have enough mana and eventually a backup counterspell, just mutate your commander and flip cards from the top of your library until you reveal the only permanent, Emrakul, the Promised End. To sum up, Iluna Apex of Wishes costs 2 more manas than Polymorph, and for the same game plan it forces you to not play artifacts, not play enchantments or planeswalkers, but offers you 2 additional colors for the deck and you have it in your command zone, so it's pretty strong too. Will it be strong and consistent enough to get banned just like Polymorph? We'll see that.
Absolutely, and besides that, Iluna, Apex of Wishes, is always a 6/6 flying trample creature for a 5 CMC, which is pretty good stats if you ask me.
Let's talk about one of the last spoiled commander, Winota, Jointer of Forces. She's a Boros 4-mana commander. She's a 4/4 human warrior that says that when a non-human creature you control attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library and you may put a human creature card from among them on the battlefield. That creature is tapped and attacking, it gains indestructible until the end of turn, put the rest of the bottom of your library. The current Boros commander in this format that you all know is Tajik, and it puts a massive pressure on turn 3. Winota will put the same amount of value on turn 4, because if you'll be able to hit a human in those 6 cards, it will be attacking too. Why would you play Winota over Tajik? So Winota is a bit less consistent, but the value it creates is massive, because you're not just gonna have a free new card, a kinda hasty human on turn 4, but you have now a 4/4 on the board that will attack on turn 5. In order to achieve this, your curve needs to be a bit different. First of all, play around 38 lands or 39 in order to be sure you hit your first land to play Winota. Then fill your deck with non-humans, 1, 2 or eventually 3 drops. There is easily 20 or 25 good aggressive non-human creatures that have been used the past 2 years on top 8 tournaments in red, white or Boros decks. Fill the rest of your deck with turn 3 humans or 4 mana cost humans. Eventually put the best 1 and 2 drops. The aim here is to hit strong payoff on Winota's trigger without hurting a good aggressive curve. And of course keep some place for the Boros staples. We're gonna pass fast on Kinan Bonder Prodigy because we disagree on the power level on Kinan in the Duel Commander format. Read the card, let us know what you think about him, if there's something to build with an heavy ramp package, huge payoffs, and support cards like Omniscience or Show and Tell, a kind of Azusa's deck with some counter spells or blue cantrips. Lots of good new commanders, we only selected a few ones, but almost all of them made me want to start brewing. Galamax, Cathriel, Akim. Lots of good cards, unfortunately some of them seem a bit busted, especially concerning the free spell cycle when you got your commander on the board. White and red are really strong, but black and blue seem probably too powerful for the format, we'll see. I was kinda disappointed by the companion mechanic. I think it's an extremely fun mechanic, but except Lurus, none of them seem worth brewing with deck restriction because they're either too expensive to cast or the deck restriction is too penalizing for the value of the companion. The same is right for the partner mechanic. I'm glad this mechanic without the possibility to use every partner with every partner came back, but except the Sultai companion, they seem too expensive to cast or not powerful enough for the format. To finish with, I'm happy to see the very first authors in Magic history. See you guys.